Samhain, a Gaelic word pronounced so-win, is a pagan religious festival originating from an ancient Celtic spiritual tradition. It is usually celebrated from October 31st to November 1st to welcome in the harvest and usher in the dark half of the year. Celebrants believe that the barriers between the physical world and the spirit world break down during Samhain, allowing more interaction between humans and denizens of the otherworld.
Have you ever wondered what it was like to celebrate Halloween over 2,000 years ago? Imagine a time when the changing of the seasons was marked not just by falling leaves and cooler temperatures, but by grand fire festivals and communal gatherings. This was the ancient festival of Samhain, a time of transition and celebration that laid the groundwork for what we now know as Halloween. The ancient Celts held Samhain in high esteem, designating it as the most significant of their 4 quarterly fire festivals. It was a time of balance, sitting at the midpoint between the fall equinox and the winter solstice. As the harvest was gathered, hearth fires in family homes were allowed to gradually burn out, symbolizing the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the cold, dark winter months. Once the harvest work was complete, the community would congregate with Druid priests to ignite a communal fire. The method of lighting this fire was deeply symbolic, involving the use of a wheel to generate friction and spark flames. This wheel was more than just a practical tool. It was a representation of the sun, a source of life and light in the darkening days of autumn. Alongside this fiery ritual, cattle were sacrificed as offerings, and prayers were spoken to the gods. This was not just a one-night celebration. Early texts describe Samhain as an obligatory 3-day, 3-night festival. Everyone in the community was expected to present themselves to their local kings or chieftains, and those who failed to participate risked divine punishment, often in the form of illness or death. In Ireland, Samhain also had a military aspect. Thrones were prepared for commanders of soldiers, signifying the importance of martial readiness, even during times of celebration. Any crime committed or misuse of weapons during the festivities was met with a swift and severe penalty, a death sentence. And what would a festival be without a feast? Historical accounts tell of 6 days of indulgence, with the community drinking alcohol, primarily mead or beer, to excess and partaking in gluttonous feasts. In summarizing, the ancient festival of Samhain was a significant event for the Celts, marking the end of the harvest season and the onset of winter. It was a time for community gatherings, symbolic fire rituals, and grand feasts. The festival also carried a sense of obligation and reverence, with strict participation rules and severe consequences for those who transgressed them. From this ancient celebration, we can trace the roots of our modern Halloween traditions, from the bonfires and feasts to the communal gatherings and the reverence for the changing seasons.
In the shadowed corners of the ancient Celtic calendar, where summer's embers give way to autumn's chill, lies the spectral celebration of Samhain. As the velvet black of nightfall wraps itself around the world, the veil between the living and the dead grows thin, whisper thin, allowing souls to slide between realms as easily as a knife through softened butter. This is Samhain, a night both chilling and fascinating, a time when monsters and spirits aren't merely tales told to frighten children, but a bone-deep reality. Samhain, pronounced Samhain, is a festival marking the end of the harvest season and the onset of winter, or the darker half of the year. The Celts, those ancient tribes of northwestern Europe, held a profound belief that on this night, the barrier separating the living from the dead became porous. To prevent any unwanted attention from fairies, or sides as they were known, offerings were left outside villages and fields, a sort of supernatural appeasement. But it wasn't just elusive fairies the Celts feared on this hallowed eve. Ancestors, too, were expected to cross over during Samhain. To protect themselves from being snatched away by these spectral beings, Celts would dress as animals and monsters, hoping to blend in with the otherworldly visitors. Among the monsters associated with Samhain, there were a few that stood out. The puka, a shape-shifting creature, was one such entity. Known to receive the last sheaf of harvest from the field, this elusive creature could take on various forms, from a rabbit to a goat or even a goblin. Then there was the Lady Gwyn, a headless woman clad in a white dress who roamed the night chasing those who dared to wander in the darkness. Her constant companion was a black pig, a symbol of her authority over the afterlife. The Dullahan, too, were often associated with Samhain, sometimes appearing as mischievous creatures, other times as headless men on horses, carrying their heads under their arms. These spectral riders on flame-eyed horses were omens of death, and an encounter with them was something to be feared. The Slua, or fairy host, a group of soul-hunting spirits, were also said to haunt Samhain. These beings were believed to come from the west, entering homes to steal souls. Their kin, the Sluach, shared a similar sinister purpose. In summary, Samhain is a time of year steeped in ancient beliefs and chilling traditions. It's a night when the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, allowing spirits and monsters to roam freely among the living. From the Puka and the Lady Gwyn to the Dullahan and the Slua, each of these entities has a unique role in the mythology surrounding Samhain, adding to its rich tapestry of fear and fascination. As the last flame of the jack-o'-lantern flickers out and the world slips into the grip of winter, we are reminded of the chilling allure of Samhain, a night when the ordinary gives way to the extraordinary, and the whisper of ancient monsters can still be heard on the wind.
The ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, celebrated on the eve of November 1st, has a fascinating mythology that has shaped our modern practices. The first myth we encounter is the tale of the Second Battle of Mag Tuared. This epic battle saga is a highlight of Samhain storytelling, pitting the noble Tuatha De Danann against their malevolent oppressors, the Fomor. This final showdown supposedly took place over the span of Samhain, marking a significant victory for the Tuatha De Danann and symbolizing the triumph of good over evil. Next on our chronological journey through Samhain myths is The Adventures of Nera. In this thrilling tale, our hero Nera encounters a corpse and fairies, and even ventures into the otherworld. The story serves as a reminder of the thin veil between our world and the otherworld during Samhain, a time when the supernatural and natural worlds intersect. Our exploration of Samhain myths would be incomplete without mentioning the legendary Celtic hero, Fionn mac Cumhaill. One of his most celebrated adventures linked to Samhain involves his confrontation with the fire-breathing underworld dweller, Eilean. Each Samhain, Eilean would set the Hall of Tara ablaze, until Fionn mac Cumhaill put a stop to his destructive tradition. This tale symbolizes the courage and heroism that can overcome even the most formidable of evils. In another Fionn mac Cumhaill legend, our hero is sent to the land beneath the wave on Samhain. This adventure is rich with descriptions of holiday gatherings, offering us a glimpse into how the ancient Celts may have celebrated this significant time of year. In summary, Samhain myths are not just tales of adventure and heroic deeds. They are symbolic narratives that weave together themes of good triumphing over evil, the thin boundary between natural and supernatural, and the importance of courage and heroism. These stories have endured through the centuries, influencing our Halloween traditions and continuing to captivate audiences with their timeless themes.
Have you ever wondered how the ancient fire festival of Samhain evolved during the Middle Ages? What transformations did this sacred Celtic holiday undergo as it wove its way through the tapestry of history? The Middle Ages, a period that stretched from the 5th to the 15th century, was a time of profound change. The celebration of Samhain, the ancient Celtic festival marking the end of the harvest season and the onset of winter, was no exception. It evolved significantly during this epoch, influenced by a myriad of cultural, religious, and societal shifts. When the Middle Ages began, Samhain was already an age-old custom, deeply rooted in the Celtic regions of Ireland and Scotland. During this time, the festival was primarily a communal event, marked by grand bonfires or samgnagans. These fires served a dual purpose, a beacon in the encroaching darkness of winter, and a safeguard against the fairies and witches believed to roam freely during Samhain. As the Middle Ages progressed, so did the traditions of Samhain. It became a more personal affair, with individual families lighting their own samgnagans. The fires were brought closer to their farms, a symbolic act to protect their households from otherworldly beings. Another fascinating evolution was the appearance of the jack-o'-lanterns. Initially, these were carved turnips,
hung on sticks and embedded with coal. This tradition, steeped in folklore and superstition, was a unique way to ward off evil spirits. As the Irish diaspora spread, they brought this tradition with them, adapting it to the new world by switching to pumpkins. The celebration of Samhain wasn't confined to the Celtic regions. It found its way to Wales, where it took on a more boisterous tone. Men would engage in fiery games, tossing burning wood at each other. The skies would be set ablaze with fireworks, a sight to behold. In northern England, Samhain morphed into a parade-like celebration. Men would march through the streets, creating a cacophony of sound with their noisemakers. It was a time of revelry, a stark contrast to the somber undertones of the Celtic Samhain. To summarize, the celebration of Samhain in the Middle Ages was a dynamic and evolving tradition. It moved from grand communal bonfires to more intimate family fires. It introduced the jack-o'-lanterns as a protective talisman against evil spirits. It expanded beyond its Celtic roots, adopting a more festive tone in Wales and northern England. The evolution of Samhain during the Middle Ages is a testament to the adaptability of cultural traditions, reflecting the changing times and the diverse influences at play. It's a fascinating journey, one that continues to shape our modern-day Halloween celebrations. This ancient fire festival may have transformed over the centuries, but its spirit continues to burn bright, a glowing ember in the heart of our collective history.
Have you ever wondered where traditions come from, how they start, evolve, and become deeply entrenched in our societies? Today we delve into one such tradition, the Dumb Supper. The Dumb Supper is a tradition steeped in history, mystery, and a dash of the supernatural. It's a meal taken in complete silence, an invitation, if you will, for the spirits of the departed to join the living. This tradition starts with a meticulous preparation process. Every detail counts, from the setting of the table to the selection of the menu. The table is often set with beautiful tablecloths adorned with candles and seasonal decorations. The food, carefully prepared and thoughtfully chosen, is served in reverse order, starting with dessert and ending with the appetizer. After the table is set and the food is prepared, the participants gather, each carrying a small bell. They move around the table counterclockwise, each ringing their bell once to invite the spirits to join the feast. Once all the bells have rung, the supper begins. In complete silence, the participants consume their meal in reverse order. The silence is not just a mark of respect or a means of creating an atmosphere. It's a way of making space for the spirits to communicate, to share their wisdom and insights with the living. The children, too, play their part in this tradition. They engage in games, their laughter and joy creating a welcoming atmosphere for the visiting spirits. The adults, on the other hand, silently share the year's news, milestones, and achievements, keeping the departed involved in the family's life. As the supper concludes, a final ritual takes place. Doors and windows are left open, allowing the spirits to depart at their leisure. Cakes are left out for them, a sweet farewell until the next dumb supper. So what have we explored today? The Dumb Supper is a tradition that honors the departed, inviting them to join the living in a meal. It's a ritual of silence, a feast consumed in reverse order, a way for families to reconnect with their ancestors. It's a time for children to entertain with games, for adults to share the year's news, and for spirits to partake in the family's life, even if just for a night. This tradition, like many others, is a reminder of our connection to the past, our respect for those who came before us, and our ongoing dialogue with history. So, the next time you find yourself sitting down to dinner, maybe spare a thought for those who once sat at your table. After all, traditions aren't just about the past, they're also about the present and how we choose to honor it.
Ever pondered over the origins of Christian Samhain? Its roots trace back to an ancient pagan tradition, a time when bonfires lit up the night and spirits were believed to roam freely. However, as the tides of time shifted, so did the essence of Samhain, evolving into a celebration interwoven with Christian beliefs. Our journey begins in the 5th century with Pope Boniface, the first to make an attempt at Christianizing Samhain. In an era when Christianity was still finding its footing amongst pagan communities, Boniface made a bold move. he shifted the Samhain celebrations from the end of October to May 13th. No longer would this day be associated with the spirits of the other world. Instead, it was rededicated to honor saints and martyrs. But old traditions die hard. The vibrant fire festivals that marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter remained a staple in the hearts of the people. Despite the Pope's decree, the ember of the old ways continued to burn brightly. Fast forward to the 9th century, and we find Pope Gregory making his mark on the Samhain saga. Recognizing the enduring power of these ancient celebrations, he moved the date back to align with the fire festivals. However, he gave it a Christian twist. November 1st would no longer celebrate the arrival of spirits, but would honor all saints, known and unknown, making it All Saints' Day. Following on its heels, November 2nd would become All Souls' Day, a time to remember and pray for those who had passed. The transformation of Samhain from pagan to Christian celebration is a tale of adaptation and survival. It is a testament to the enduring power of traditions and beliefs, even in the face of change. Even as the Christian Church sought to reshape Samhain, the essence of the ancient festival refused to be extinguished. Instead, it evolved, weaving itself into the fabric of the new faith. So as the fire crackles on All Saints' Day, remember the ancient roots of the celebration. Remember the spirits that once roamed on this night, the bonfires that blazed in their honor, and the enduring power of tradition that continues to shape our celebrations today. This is the story of Samhain, a festival of fire and spirit, transformed yet ever enduring from the 5th century to the present day.
Ever pondered the origins of the eerie Halloween that sends shivers down your spine every October? To uncover its roots, we journey back in time to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, a celebration that bears uncanny resemblances and stark differences to the modern Halloween we know today. Samhain, pronounced as Samhain, marked the end of the harvest season and the onset of winter, a time associated with death in Celtic belief. The Celts believed that on this night the veil between the living and the dead thinned, allowing spirits to cross over. To ward off any malicious spirits, they lit bonfires and donned ghastly costumes. Sounds familiar, right? Fast forward to the present day, and we find the modern Halloween bearing a striking resemblance to Samhain, but not without its unique twists. While today's Halloween still involves costumes and bonfires, the purpose has shifted from warding off spirits to pure entertainment and celebration. Then there's the tradition of trick-or-treating, a staple of modern Halloween. This practice traces back to the ancient Irish and Scottish practices during Samhain. Known as mumming, individuals would dress up, go door to door and sing songs to the dead. In return, they received cakes. Today, children in costumes go from door to door asking for candy with the phrase, trick or treat. The playful pranks that children play during Halloween also have their roots in Samhain. In the ancient festival, however, the tricks were usually blamed on fairies, a stark contrast to today's harmless pranks played by children. As time went by, Samhain merged with Halloween. The pagan aspects of the celebration didn't disappear, instead they got absorbed and transformed. October 31st became known as All Hallows' Eve, or Halloween, retaining many traditional pagan practices. This blend of cultures was adopted in 19th century America when Irish immigrants brought their traditions across the ocean. In conclusion, the evolution of Samhain into Halloween presents a fascinating tale of cultural blend and transformation. From warding off spirits to collecting candies, from blaming tricks on fairies to playful pranks, Halloween has come a long way from its ancient Celtic roots. Yet the essence remains the same, a celebration of the thinning veil between the living and the dead, a night of eeriness, of spookiness, and of course of fun. Have you ever pondered the origins of Halloween? The jack-o'-lanterns, the costumes, the air of mystery? Could it be that our modern celebrations trace back to an ancient Celtic festival called Samhain? Indeed, the roots of Halloween sink deep into the fertile soil of history, back to the time of the Celts in ancient Britain and Ireland. Over 2,000 years ago, this civilization marked the end of the harvest season and the onset of winter on the 1st of November. This day, called Samhain, was seen as a liminal time when the boundary between this world and the next could easily be crossed. It was a time of communing with the spirits, of paying respect to the dead, and of seeking their guidance for the dark times ahead. As centuries passed, Samhain began to morph and meld with other cultural practices. When the Romans conquered Celtic territories around the 1st century, they folded in their own festivals of the dead, such as Feralia. A few centuries later, with the spread of Christianity, All Saints' Day, or All Hallows' Day, was established by the Church on the 1st of November to honor all the saints. The night before All Hallows' Eve began to take on many of the traditions of Samhain, ultimately evolving into the Halloween we know today. Fast forward to the 20th century, a resurgence of interest in pagan traditions led to the rise of a new religion, Wicca. Beginning in the 1980s, many Wiccans started to celebrate Samhain in ways that echoed its ancient Celtic roots. For them, this festival marks the end of the year, a time for both looking back and looking forward. Wiccan celebrations of Samhain can take many forms, from the traditional fire ceremonies to activities that honor nature and the ancestors. Some even incorporate elements of modern Halloween. In the Druid tradition, the festival often features a bonfire and a special communion with the dead. And in America, pagans often hold music and dance celebrations known as witches' balls around the time of Samhain. So, as we've discovered, the history of Samhain is a rich tapestry, woven from strands of different cultures and eras. From its origins as a Celtic festival marking the end of the harvest season, it has evolved and transformed, absorbing elements from Roman and Christian traditions and re-emerging in the modern world in the form of Wiccan Samhain celebrations and Halloween festivities. Whether you're carving a jack-o'-lantern, donning a costume, or simply feeling a shiver of mystery on a chilly October night, remember that you're participating in a tradition that stretches back over 2 millennia, a tradition that celebrates the cycles of nature, honors the dead, and embraces the unknown. Who knew that our modern Halloween had such ancient roots? Now, isn't that a treat?
Wondered about the intricate threads that weave the tapestry. Authenticity. They continue to weave the ancient threads of Celtic tradition into the fabric of modern paganism, bridging the gap between the past and present. In summary, Celtic reconstructionists are dedicated to the faithful reintroduction of Celtic traditions into modern paganism. They meticulously research and reconstruct ancient practices, creating their own distinctive rites and celebrations, such as Oiche Shamna. Through their commitment to authenticity and respect for nature, they continue to keep the spirit of the ancient Celts alive in the contemporary world. So next time you see a juniper decoration or hear the whisper of ancient Celtic gods, remember the Celtic reconstructionists. They are the guardians of tradition, the bridge builders between the past and present, and the vibrant thread that weaves the rich tapestry of Celtic tradition into the fabric of modern paganism.